Okay, now look at this slide showing descriptive or diagrammatic description of presentation of mechanism of action of cardiac glycosides, as well as below lower portion showing flow chart of action of cardiac glycosides. In the normal heart, iron movements in cardiac muscle cell is sodium potassium ATP age pump. Sodium moves outside and potassium ion moves inside the cell. And this is shown on the left side above diagram on the topmost corner, left topmost corner, that is potassium is coming, influx of potassium has been shown, as well as efflux of sodium ion has been shown. And so this is the sodium potassium ATP age pump. Other is sodium ion calcium ion exchanger, shown next to this and separated by a cross line, different cross line between two, that is calcium is going outside and sodium ion is moving inside, the middle one diagram. So sodium moves inside and calcium moves outside the cell. And on the right one side, lateral one, showing L-type calcium channel, showing influx of calcium ion into the cardiac muscle cell. So, in the presence of high sodium ion inside the cell due to digoxin, that is digoxin inhibits sodium potassium ATP is shown on the topmost corner, upper corner, and this leads to increased intracellular concentration of sodium ion, increased intracellular concentration of sodium ions, and this increased intracellular concentration of sodium ion inhibits extracellular efflux of calcium ion from the cell. So there will be increased intracellular concentration of calcium, and this calcium ion coming through the L-type calcium channels, and this calcium ion on reaching the cytoplasm activates ryanodine receptors, that is calcium ion dependent calcium release receptors, shown in the middle of the upper diagrams, and 4 ryanodine receptors has been shown, 2 on the upper portion of the plasma membrane and 2 on the inner membrane of the plasma membrane. So this causes this on increased calcium ion concentration, ryanodine receptor is activated, which leads to increased release of calcium ion from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. And all these increased intracellular calcium ion causes active myosin contraction. So cardiac contractility, myocardial contractility is enhanced, force of contraction is enhanced. Other mechanism is immediately after release of calcium ion from the sarcoplasmic reticulum, the increased intracellular calcium ion concentration is not maintained for longer time, because most of these calcium ions are reuptaken by the sarcoplasmic reticulum from the cytoplasm through sarcoplasmic calcium ion ATP age receptors present on the sarcoplasmic reticulum. shown in this diagram. And digoxin, look at this diagram. Digoxin first action is on the right uppermost corner, that is it inhibits sodium potassium ATPase. And other action is it inhibits intracellularly sarcoplasmic reticulum calcium and ATPase, and so reuptake of calcium ion from the cytoplasm into the sarcoplasmic reticulum is inhibited, and this also leads to increased concentration of calcium ion due to action of digoxins or cardiac glycosides. Cardiac glycosides. And now coming to this flow chart, lower part, that is cardiac glycosides inhibit sodium pump in cardiac cells, accumulation of intracellular sodium ions, leads to prevents efflux of calcium ion and entry of calcium ion into the cell. Increase intracellular calcium ion, and this leads to stored in sarcoplasmic reticulum. Calcium ion, increased calcium ion release during each contraction causes increased force and velocity of myocardial contractions. Next slide, please. Now look at this table showing normal left ventricular filling pressures and stroke volume. Both has been shown in this. On y-axis, stroke volume has been shown in this diagram, while on x, that is transverse axis, left ventricular filling pressure in millimeter of mercury, that represents preload, has been shown. In normal heart, represented by a curve as shown in this diagram. But in heart failure, this due to increased peripheral vascular resistance and decreased force of contraction, the curve B is formed, leading to pulmonary edema and other features of heart failure. But after therapy of digitalis or cardiac glycosides, peripheral vascular resistance is decreased and force of contraction is increased. So curve has been improved from B to C, so giving the benefit to the patient suffering from digitalis, suffering from heart failures after intake of cardiac glycosides. In this table 5, pharmacokinetic profiles of 3 major typical cardiac glycosides has been shown. These are digitoxin, digoxin, auvarmin. And on left side, different parameters, that is 10 parameters has been shown. Oral absorption, digitoxin 95 to 100%, while in cases of digoxin it is 75 to 90%, and in case of auvarmin it is approximately 0, that is nil. Administration, oral route in case of digitoxin, digoxin also oral, while auvarmin is given intravenously. Apparent volume of distribution. In cases of digitoxin it is 0.6, while in cases of digoxin it is 6 to 7, much more than, that is more than 10 times in comparison to that of digitoxin. And auvarmin has 80, so ABD is much more higher, 3 times than that of digoxin. Protein binding, digitoxin 90%, digoxin 30%, and auvarmin is 0, that is nil. Plasma half-life 6 to 7 days for digitoxin and 38 to 40 hours for digoxin and 18 to 20 hours for Auabine. Onset of action for digitoxin it is 2 hours, for digoxin it is 30 minutes, and for Auabine very rapid actions within minutes it is obtained. Duration of action, digitoxin very long, digoxin intermediate, and Auabine has short actions. Metabolic, 80% of digitoxin metabolized in liver, while in liver digoxin is only up to 20% metabolized, and Auabine does not undergo any metabolism. Excretion, mainly bile and also through urine for digitoxin, while for digoxin it is urine, that urinary excretion, and Auabine has also urinary excretion in unchanged form. Dose, digitalizing dose, that is loading dose, is 1 mg in 24 hours or decimal 4 mg every 12 hours for total 3 doses orally for digitoxins, and followed by maintenance dose of decimal 1 mg single dose per day. And for digoxin, decimal 5 to decimal 75 mg 8 hourly for total 3 doses orally, followed by maintenance dose decimal 25 to decimal 5 mg per day. For Auabine, decimal 2 to decimal 5 mg intravenously in cases of acute heart failure. Next slide. Now look at this table, table 6, drugs used in systolic and diastolic heart failure. We have already discussed what is systolic heart failure and what is diastolic heart failure. Systolic heart failure due to inadequate or due to decreased pumping capacity of the cardiac ventricles, and diastolic heart failure, that is cardiac output is decreased. And in cases of diastolic heart failure, heart is not filling properly adequately, that is diastolic heart failure. So drugs used in both these systolic and diastolic heart failures has been shown in this diagram. Diuretics, systolic heart failures improve symptoms. For diastolic heart failure, use with caution to avoid first line therapy. Excessive decrease in filling pressure occurs. Angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, first line therapy for systolic heart failures, decrease mortality in chronic heart failure. For diastolic heart failures, decreases left ventricular hypertrophy. So, angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors are effective in both systolic heart failure as well as diastolic heart failure. Angiotensin receptor blockers decrease mortality in chronic heart failure in systolic heart failures, and diastolic heart failures may be used, helpful, not so effective. Beta blockers and evaprolol. Both these drugs decrease mortality in chronic heart failure in cases of systolic heart failures, but also useful to reduce heart rate and BP in cases of diastolic heart failure. Aldosterone inhibitors decrease mortality in chronic heart failures in cases of systolic heart failures, and in diastolic heart failures it may be used. Calcium channel blockers not used in systolic heart failure. Remember, calcium channel blockers are avoided in systolic heart failures, while it is useful in diastolic heart failure to reduce heart rate and blood pressure. Positive inotropes effective in systolic heart failures, but not used or not recommended in diastolic heart failure. Digoxin used in selected patients and cases of systolic heart failure, but it should not be used in diastolic heart failure. Coming to the classification and treatment of heart failure. Here's classifications and treatment of heart failure. Classification of heart failures by American Heart Association, designated as stage A, stage B, stage C and stage D. While in New York Heart Association, NIHA, divided into pre-failure state and stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 and stage 4. Description: stage A or pre-failure conditions, no symptoms but risk factors are present. Treatment: treat obesity, hypertension, diabetes and dyslipidemia. Stage B or NIHA stage 1, no limitation of ordinary activities, symptoms with severe physical activity or exercise. Treatment by drugs: angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors and or angiotensin receptor blockers, beta blockers and diuretics. Stage C or NIHA group 3 and 2 and 3 both comes under the American Heart Association stage C. Stage 3, slight limitation of activity, symptoms with marked activity. And for treatment, besides above drugs, that is angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, ARB, beta blockers and diuretics, we have to add spironolactone, digoxin, nitrates, citralazine and ivabradine. Stage 3, symptoms with mild physical activity. Treatment C. Stage D, that is stage D and stage 4, severe symptoms, even at rest and having refractory heart failure. Treatment being heart transplant, left ventricular assist device, where a specific device is implanted in right side, right ventricle or left ventricle to enhance force of contraction or increase cardiac output. Next slide. Treatment here, treatment of digoxin toxicity. So treatment of digoxin toxicity, different types of, that is bradycardia, AV block, heart blocks, extrasystoles, different side effects are found as side effects of digoxin. But treatment of digoxin toxicity, that is, digoxin should be stopped and infusion of potassium chloride 20 millimole per hour intravenously are given, or oral potassium supplements is given depending upon the severity of the conditions. Potassium reduces actions of digoxins but do not give potassium ion in severe AV block. So potassium, before starting potassium, we should be assured by taking ECG that there is no AV block. When AV block is severe, potassium supplementation is provided, should not be given. Otherwise, it is given. For ventricular arrhythmia, lignocaine intravenously is the drug of choice. Quinidine is contraindicated because it increases toxicity. For supraventricular arrhythmia, give propranolol IV or orally. For AV block, intramuscular atropine 1 to 2 mg is given. Antidote: digoxin antibody such as DG-Bind or DG-Fab binds with digoxin, and this complex is excreted in urine. DG-Bind is a purified fat fragment of antibody obtained from anti-digoxin antisera, and the dose is 40 mg per vial of DG-Bind available in the market. 40 mg per vial of DG-Bind neutralizes 0.6 mg of digoxin. And extra cardiac side effects, that is GIT, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Eye, blood vision, altered color perception, colored halos and hallucinations. Endocrine gynecomastia in males. Drug interaction, that is increased digoxin toxicity by concurrent use of diuretics, which causes hypokalemia, that leads to increased toxicity of digoxin. Catecholamines and or succinylcholine worsen arrhythmia. Quinidine, tetracyclines, verapamil displace digoxin from its protein binding sites and increases digoxin toxicity. And that is action of digoxin or effect of digoxin is decreased by concurrent use of antacids, which forms a complex and decreases absorption of digoxin. Cholestyramine decreases enterohepatic circulation of digoxin. Enzyme inducers such as phenytoin increases metabolism of digoxin. Contraindications of cardiac glycosides or digoxin, that is hypokalemia, elderly persons, renal and hepatic disease, hyperthyroidism, ventricular tachycardia, AV block, myxedema, old Parkinson, White syndrome, and myocardial infarction. These are the contraindications for cardiac glycosides. Okay, now look at this slide, that is showing different drugs and belonging to phosphodiesterase inhibitor. First drug being amrinone, which acts as inotropic drugs, that is amrinone phosphodiesterase inhibitor. It causes myocardial, it increases myocardial cyclic AMP and increased transmembrane influx of calcium ion, having positive inotropic and direct vasodilator action. Positive inotropic and direct vasodilator actions, inodilators. Increases left ventricular ejection flow and decreases left ventricular diastolic volume. They are the main effects of amrinone. That is increased myocardial cyclic AMP concentration and increased transmembrane influx of calcium ion, repeating, with positive inotropic and direct vasodilator actions, known as inodilators. And increased left ventricular, it increases left ventricular ejection flow and decreases left ventricular diastolic volume. Used for short-term reversal or treatment of severe heart failures, administered intravenously dose being decimal 5 mg per kg bolus followed by 5 to 10 microgram per kg per minute as IV infusion. Adverse effects is nausea, diarrhea, fever, hepatotoxicity, arrhythmias and thrombocytopenia. Other important drug is which is preferable than amlodipine, that is milrinone, phosphodiesterase inhibitors, more potent than amlodipine, shorter acting, half-life is 40 to 80 minutes. Used for short-term reversal of severe heart failure, that is administered IV as 50 microgram per kg bolus followed by decimal 4 to 1 microgram per kg per minute as IV infusion. Third drug is nisiritide, that is synthetic form of endogenous peptide, brain natriuretic peptide. It increases cyclic GMP in vascular smooth muscle and decreases pre and after load. It increases salt and water excretion. Used intravenously to relieve dyspnea and other symptoms in refractory congestive heart failure, and dose is 2 mg per kg bolus followed by decimal 0.1 to decimal 0.3 microgram per kg per minute as IV infusion. Next slide. Okay. Here this same what we had discussed, that is about the action of phosphodiesterase. This table gives the same diagrammatic descriptions and flow chart of the action of phosphodiesterase inhibitors like amlodipine, milrinone and levosimendan. That is phosphodiesterase PDE3 inhibitors causes decreased degradation of cyclic AMP in heart and blood pressure, increases cyclic AMP concentration, that leads to increased active protein kinase, and which leads to increased calcium ion inside the cell, and that causes increased contraction of heart. So positive inotropic actions and also causes vasodilatation. These are the major effects of the phosphodiesterase 3 inhibitor group of drugs. In the same, that is mechanism of PDE3 inhibitors, their calcium ion entry to L-type calcium channel has been shown on the left side in the lower diagram, and again increase in the cytoplasmic calcium ultimately leads to increased myocardial contraction. Again here that is cat. Okay. That is catecholamines on the right side acts on the beta 1 receptors, and this leads to increased cyclic AMP level, and increased cyclic AMP level degradation of cyclic AMP to AMP in the presence of PDE3 enzyme. And again this PDE3 inhibitors will inhibit metabolism of cyclic AMP to AMP, and that this will increase concentration of cyclic AMP, and this increased concentration of cyclic AMP converts inactive phosphokinase A protein to active PK, that is active form, and that enhances entry of calcium ion to the calcium channel. These are the mechanism of action of phosphodiesterase inhibitors, and other remaining portions we will discuss in the next class. So thank you. ও কৃষ্ণজি কাটবো